Okay, alright, hi. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 5:38 p.m. And I literally, not too long ago, like half an hour ago, finished filming a little life update that I wanted to do so that I could kind of record where I was, so that I could kind of just like have a record of where I am right now, with graduation coming up. And then I sat down and I ate a popsicle because I was hungry and I really wanted one. And while I was eating the popsicle, I started thinking about reading, and then I was like, oh my goodness, I've read books, I want to talk about them, but all of my friends are busy, so this is a video talking about all the books that I've read thus far. So everything I read in January, February, and March. I'm going to say right off the bat, it's not a lot, and I know that because I've been so busy. This is my last semester of college. It's been a doozy. I have not had time to read. When I do though, I'm always trying, so it's not that long, but I graduate in less than a month. And I expect a spike. I expect a spike in the amount of books that I can read after graduation. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in order. The first one that I'm gonna say just right off the bat is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. I've not finished. I've been reading it little by little, slowly. I intend to finish before the end of the year, but I know I will. I will finish by the end of the year, but this is one that I expect to be reading for like a prolonged period of time, because when it comes to memoirs or self-help books or anything of that sort, like if it's not fiction or like fantasy or romance, then it's gonna take me a while to get through. But it's been really good. I've been liking it. I've been underlining and highlighting things that I'm like, oh, that's me, or I want that to be me, or that should be me. So this one's been good, but I'm not finished. Then we jumped right into one of my favorite reads of the year. I already know. It was good. It was 5 stars through and through. I'll give you a second to guess. 1, 2. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I love this book. I loved the characters. I loved their relationship. I'm Nora. I am Henry. I am them both. And the whole time I was reading it, I kept thinking like, yes, like thank you. Because I too want a black cat. Because I sometimes feel like a black cat. Like, I feel like I'm half and half. Like, I'm definitely not a golden retriever. I don't know if I'm full black cat, but I think I tend to lean more towards black cat than golden. So, I don't know. I really liked them. So this year I found that I'm really trying to be more intentional with tracking the books that I'm reading and what I think and feel about them, because I get so busy that I won't read forever, and then I'll get like an urge to read. So I'll make time for it, like time I don't have, or I will have the time, and then I'm just like binging books, like I can't get enough. And then because I'm reading them so fast and in such like a, oh, I have to finish before I get busy again, or oh, like I'm already taking time, like I have to finish, then I won't remember. And so I'm trying to be really intentional about, I read this book, I thought this about it, it made me feel this way. So I've been tracking it on my Notion. So this year I've been using Goodreads and Notion like religiously whenever I'm reading. So Goodreads is to help me get to my goal. So right now I'm 8 out of 50 books that I want to read this year. So as of right now I'm completed 8 books out of 50 that I want to read this year, but I'm currently reading 3 books. I'm busy, so I'm not really currently like reading, but I'm like in the middle of reading 3 books, and this is one of them, as we discussed. So if I go over to my Notion, my handy dandy trusty reading tracker, isn't she? Oh, you can't see her, but she's super cute and very well organized. So for book lovers, if we're talking, book lovers, we're talking the genre, romance. The tropes, I put close proximity, work romance, kick-ass MC, vacation, I just realized I don't know if I should say one of them because it might be a spoiler, so I won't. I will just say the ones that aren't spoilers. Trauma-rama, because that I can say without going too in depth. Black cat, which I already said. Close siblings, small town, city person. City person was a trope. I had made a bunch of tropes from like books that I read, just like the most common ones, and city person was one that I added after reading Book Lovers. It didn't exist in my list of tropes until Book Lovers, and I gave it 5 stars, and this was my review. I loved it! Exclamation mark. I love Nora and Charlie, parentheses, I am Nora and Charlie. If I could have read it in one sitting, I would have. Page 298 gave me strong flashbacks of explaining to Nat. Oh wait, I can't say this one. But it's a good one. I'll circle back. Maybe one day I'll talk about it. But, yeah. Alright, moving on to the next book. I actually don't have it with me. I don't know where it is. Probably because it was super, like, unmemorable. I can put, like, a picture here, but, like, is it really worth it? I don't know. It was called The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, and it was by Jennifer E. Smith. Here's my thing with this book. It was YA, and I didn't know that. So the whole reason I read the book was because Netflix made a movie. And I'm very much a person who's like, I have to read the book before the movie. And in the movie, the characters are aged up. So I didn't realize when I got the book that they were, like, the girl was in high school. And technically, the love interest is, like, a couple years older than her. So he's not in high school. But it was, like, too, like, YA for me. It was, like, too, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I can read YA and it's, like, fine because the plot is good. And so it's, like, even though it's not me anymore, like, I don't connect to it as much as I would have in high school, I can still be like, oh well, at least the plot was good, or like the story was good. It was just like YA and like bad. It was like it was something I could have only appreciated, and honestly I don't know if I would have in high school, but I feel like it's something you can only appreciate maybe if you're like young, because then you don't realize that it's not great. But anyways, for the tropes I put close proximity, road trip. I'm skipping a trope because it's a spoiler, and love at first sight, and I gave it a 2-star rating. This is my review. Not bad enough for a 1 or interesting enough to warrant a 3. It is what it is, and then I put in parentheses nothing more and nothing less. It was a YA book. Nothing more, nothing less. Like, I mean, it was a little less, I won't lie. It was a little less, but it wasn't bad enough to be a 1. Because my standards for 1 are like, I want to bash my head into a wall, and it wasn't like that. I was just bored. I was like, this is really, like, I would maybe like this if I was 11 or 12. Then I would be like, oh my goodness, because I don't have a frame of reference. But like at 21, I was like, this is just no. And the movie sucked too. Oh my god. So I read the book, right, so I could watch the movie, and I watched the movie with my grandma. She was so angry with me because we watch movies together all the time. I suggested this one. I was like, oh yeah, I want to watch this one. It was so bad. At one point she got up, she went to the to go to the bathroom, and she was like, don't pause, like, don't feel the need to pause it for me. Just let it keep going. Like, she wanted to escape it. And I was falling asleep. It was bad. It was really bad. And I like the actress who played the main character, but it just, the book was bad, and I thought the movie was bad too. But moving on to something that's not bad, we've got the next book that I read, which is Tweet Cute. I thought this was so cutie. Actually, I liked it so much that I got her other book. I saw it at Barnes & Noble's. I literally saw her other book at Barnes & Noble's like a day or 2 after finishing this, and I was like, I need it, I must have it. It's mine, it's coming home with me. This was super cutie. So it's by Emma Lord. It's a romance book, and the tropes that I put are rivals, secret identity, close proximity, opposites attract, kick-ass MC, miscommunication, forbidden love, coming of age, because it is YA, so it's kind of a bit of like a, you know, and found family. I would say that see, this is my thing about YAs. Like, there can be YAs that don't YA, like, they're like good. And then there's the other one where it's like, and then there's this where I was like interested, even though they're seniors in high school, so they are younger than me. But even though they're younger than me, it was like, it's a good story. It's like gripping me. I like their banter. They're funny. You're rooting for them. You're like, oh my goodness. And so, yeah, I put 5 stars. Okay, my review. Loved the banter, in parentheses, sarcasm on point, with 3 exclamation marks. Because obviously if it's sarcasm, then I love it and I'm here for it. Anyways, I put characters were pretty solid, and then I put in parentheses, very real love/hate relationship with blank character. And then I put, when will I be in a Twitter war with the love of my life? Because when will I be in a Twitter war with the love of my life? I would like to know. And for the plot twist, I gave it a B, like a grade of being a B. It was okay. It was pretty okay, which is honestly really high for me. I see a lot of plot twists coming like super duper far away. I did kind of see it coming, but it took me a little bit longer to see like the whole picture. Then I read the only 1-star book that I've read so far this year, My Fault by Mercedes Wrong. I don't know why I did this to myself, because it's not at all, it's the movie thing. The movie came out, I was like, oh, I should probably watch the movie because it's like a popular new movie, and it's in Spanish too, and I've tried to watch Spanish stuff, so it was like, oh, like a popular new movie and it's in Spanish. I like to watch Spanish and TV shows because it helps me learn Spanish, it helps me like with my understanding and stuff, and I pick up vocab that way. But honestly, I feel like, and it's probably just because I don't know where to find them or like what's in or not, but it can be kind of hard to find things that are like my demographic. Like I could be at my great grandma's house and there's no shortage of like 100, no more, like 280 episode long novellas, but like that's not necessarily, you know, what I want to watch. But anyways, so bad, like so bad. It made me angry. It made me angry and frustrated. I wanted to throw this book at a wall. I wanted to bash my head into a wall. It was not fun. So for the genres, I have YA, and then I created a new genre in my drop-down list because I had made, just like I had made a whole bunch of tropes, I made a whole bunch of genres that I normally read, and I made a new one, and it's romance, but in like parentheses, like, yeah, it's romance, but like, is it really? Does anybody find this romantic? Please let me know. I mean, I know people do. That's the thing that really gets me. I know people do, and like, to each their own. But this is not something I could have enjoyed even in high school, like, because this reminds me, so this to me is like Spanish After. I mean, this book is in English, but the movie and like the concept of it reminds me of like After, and I hated After. I read it in high school. I read the first 2 books. The first book had me like, but I was like, oh, I assume since it's a romance, like he'll change and get better. And I made it, I think, halfway through the 3rd book when I was like, no, that's not ever gonna happen, and I stopped reading. I didn't finish the 3rd book, I didn't read the rest of the books of the series, and I don't think I'm gonna do that with this series either. You know, like, it doesn't leave off on a super big cliffhanger that I feel like I need to, and honestly, I would be putting myself through torture if I continued. Those were the genres, and for the tropes, I put close proximity, sunshine, I use that loosely with this, ex-grumpy, catch a case, and I say catch a case, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's in my comments. Trauma-rama, good girl / boy, and then bad boy / girl. So she's kind of like a good girl and he's like a bad boy. Dark past, Sweet Home Alabama, and Toxic AF. So to disclaim, Sweet Home Alabama, they're not actually related. Their parents get married, and not like when they're kids, like he's an adult and he's I think 23 and she's 17, and their parents get married. So, but to me that was like still weird. Like, I don't know, man, I don't know, it's a little awky chalky for me. So I gave it a 1 star, and my first comment is, it was so bad I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible, so I give you a 1. My next comment, some books should not be published, in parentheses, this is one of them. I hate every character, and then in bold, like every single character, parentheses, except for the 5-year-old girl with diabetes, which is not saying much. Like, obviously I'm going to like the little 5-year-old girl with diabetes, and if she's the only person that I like, that really says something. Next point, pacing is god-awful. Pacing is god-awful, practically non-existent. The only thing this book does well is make me angry and frustrated. And now we're gonna get into the part where I said that we're catching a case. So MMC, so the main male character, literally acts like if Atlas from It Ends With Us and Hardin from After somehow had a toxic demon man-baby child. And then I put in parentheses to explain. Age gap acknowledgement, and then just doesn't care, plus overall a-holiness. So like I said, he's I think 22 or 23 and she's 17, and it's dual POV, so you see his point of view multiple times, and even in conversations with her where he's like, I'm older than you, like, no, bad idea, shouldn't happen, it's not right, and then doesn't care, has a relationship with her anyway, which to me was one of my biggest reasons I could never get behind It Ends With Us, was that they met, you know, the two main characters, and there was an age difference, and he kind of like, he acknowledged that there was an age difference and that nothing could happen. Like, he acknowledged that there was an age difference, that nothing should happen, and then, like, spoiler alert, stuff does happen. So then you're like, you knew, you acknowledged that it was wrong and you did it anyway. Oh my goodness. And so then after finishing the book, I said, he ended up being slightly better. When I say slightly, I mean this much. This much better. Not much, just slightly better. But still super jealous and had tons of violent thoughts, even if he didn't act on them. And then I said plot twist grade D-, because I totally called the plot twist, like, so far back. There was like one other thing I thought for a second it could have been, and then I was like, nope, not that, too obvious, and I knew. I think there are some people, and no hate to you, who don't mind the toxicity and the violent behavior of, like, when the main characters are like wanting to fight and they're super jealous and possessive. Personally, for me, I'm just like, this is so unhealthy, I can't enjoy it. And I know for some people that it's like they can. For me personally, I wanted to punch a wall. Which, see, it made me want to be violent. See, this is a problem. See? Oh my goodness. Okay. Up next, I have not been able to stop thinking about this book since I read it. It has entered me. It just, yeah. This book has just like, it took over my thoughts like entirely for like a while. And now I can think about other things, but a lot of the times all roads lead back to 1,000 Boy Kisses. So I read this in February, like the end of February. It's by Tilly Cole. It's so good. It made me cry. It made me question life. It did make me frustrated at times, and we'll get to that. Yeah. Okay. So the genre, YA, romance, the tropes. Best friends to lovers, boy falls first, boy falls hard, second chance, it's always been you. Then we've got good girl, bad boy, one that I can't say, it's like integral to the storyline, and Sunshine X Grumpy. So I gave this one 4 stars, and the reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I didn't love the love interest, like the main male character. I didn't really love him all that much. I think the main character of this book is Poppy, and she's the female main character. I love Poppy. Like, after this, my Instagram note was literally like, what would Poppy Litchfield do? I love Poppy Litchfield. She's great. I aspire to be more like Poppy Litchfield. Rune is the name of the guy. Bothers me so much. And I think I made a video, actually. I think I was so upset. I don't see, this is what I'm saying. I don't even remember when I do this stuff because I do it in such a hurry that I forget. But I'm pretty sure now I made a video talking about this in depth. I haven't edited it yet, and it certainly is not up, but I'm remembering now, and I definitely made a video. I have to, oh, there's so much I have to do. Anyways, I didn't really like him, and that really held me back from giving this book 5 stories. What I will say, this book made me realize I have never been in love. This book made me realize that I might die alone. Okay? Yay. Fun. Moving on. Legendary by Stephanie Garber. So I actually read the first book to the series, Carabelle, I think last year or the year before, a while ago, because when I best friend Shelby, hey Shelby girl, if you're watching, I love you so much. But Shelby had read it and she was like, oh my goodness, it's so good, I think you'd like it. And so I did read it. But for me, it's super duper hard to read fantasies like straight through because of how the world building can sometimes be like tiring to follow along with and be like, I don't know, in a world that's not real. Like, sometimes it's great and I need the escape, but sometimes it makes me more stressed out, and I am not sure that I can articulate that properly, but it is, yeah, I don't know. So I read it and I really, really liked Carabelle. I think I would give Carabelle a higher rating because it follows one of the sisters, Scarlett, and I like her more than Tella, who this book is in her point of view. I relate to Scarlett more, so I think I would downgrade 1 star. I feel like Carabelle might have been like a 5 or 4 star. Probably 4. and this is maybe like a 3 to 3.5 because the story is still good, but I don't like her as much. Like I don't know, man, I don't know. For the genre, I have YA, fantasy, and romance. It's like a what is that? It's the romantasy. I think that's what they call it now, like the mix. So it's YA and like a romantasy. And then I have that's for genres. For tropes, I've got enemies to lovers, close proximity, fake relationship, fairy tale, morally gray, but like pretty gray. So I don't relate with her as much because I find her to be impulsive and kind of just more like rushes into things without thinking. She definitely thinks more with her heart versus her head, and I felt like the other sisters thought more with her head, and I relate to that more. What I can say about her is that she's pretty kick-ass. So I put kick-ass MC, dark past, powers, found family, I put close siblings because the two sisters are very close. They're very different, but very close. And then there's a couple other ones that I'm not gonna say. So yeah, I would say this was like 3.5 stars for me. 3 to 3.5 if we're using halves now. Technically that changes up some things for other books, so we won't. We'll say, but I feel like 3 is too low, but a 4 just feels too high because I don't know that Caravel was a 5. So that was Legendary. I'm currently reading Finale. That's one of the 3 books that I'm in the middle of reading, along with 101 Essays that will change the way you think. And then the last 2 books I read, I recently just finished them while I was on my spring break, are my Summer of You Volume 1 and Volume 1 and 2. This is so cute. There's a 3rd volume that I need to get and I want to read it. I've officially added it to my want to read on Goodreads. These books were so cute. They made me so happy. They were just so wholesome. So they're both manga, romance. And for the tropes, I put Best Friends to Lovers, It's Always Been You, Sunshine X Grumpy, Oblivious. And then to be funny for hee hee ha-has, because this is it's a gay manga, it's a gay romance, I put Boy Falls First and Boy Falls Hard, you know, just for shits and giggles. And then I put LGBTQ+. Both of them 5 stars. I'll read the comments for the first one and then the second one. So for the first one, I put, these two are so cute. Had me laughing and smiling the whole time, which is true, I was. And I put in parentheses, literally started singing Invisible String, which is true. When I read that part, I was like, isn't it just so pretty to think? And then for the second one that also had 5 stars, I put, I love these two so much. They make my heart so happy. And then I put, also, I literally can't with them. Chiharu is so head over heels and so open and honest with his emotions. And then we've got emotionally constipated and insecure Wataru. And then I put in parentheses, he is me. You know, I'm just taking his, but whatever, it's fine. And then I said, who is just so confused and embarrassed all the time. And then I put in parentheses again, I die with his internal dialogue because pretty much all of his thoughts are about how hot his boyfriend is and how it's not fair, which is true. I swear half of his thoughts, maybe more than half of his thoughts are just like, wow, he is so cool, so handsome, so tall, so good looking, so nice. Everybody wants him. Every girl wants to be with him. It's not fair. And then I'm just like, it's just hilarious. This was just such a fun read to have while I was on spring break because I really needed a lighthearted thing, and this was just, it made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Those are all the books that I've read so far this year. That's everything I read in January, February, and March. Already in April, like I said, I'm reading 3 books. I've got 100 Essays to Change the Way You Think, like I said, Finale, which is the last book of the Caravel series, and Catching Fire. So I'm hoping that I finish these 3 books in April, and that I also finish the Hunger Games series, and then I might even get started on the follow-up series to the Caravel series, which follows Jax, which is one of the characters in the Caravel series. I just really wanted to geek out and nerd out and talk about books. I needed a little happy release because I have a meeting with my advisor in an hour, and they always make me so nervous. Like, those meetings, they just kind of, I don't know, they make me spiral, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, and I get so nervous. So I needed a little bit of like a word happy vomit. Is that how I wanted to say that? I don't know if that's how I wanted to say that. We're moving on. I had been wanting to film a video talking about books, like all the books I've read so far, because I did do that one book. I did do that one video for 1,000 Boy Kisses, but that was because I was so emotionally distraught that, like, if I did not say something, like speak about it, I was going to combust. I was gonna explode. But I've been wanting to make a video about all the books I've read. but I felt like I didn't have enough. Even this doesn't feel like a lot, but I didn't want to have a super long video either. Like, I didn't want it to be like, these are the 2 books I read in January, but I also didn't want it to be like, these are the 15 books that I read in January, February, April, you know? So I think that this was kind of like a happy medium, and I think I will be able to read way more books this month. Like, I can probably read as many books this month as I read in the past 3 months, just because half of the month I won't be doing school and sorority stuff. So I will be free to read to my heart's content, which is what I think I was born to do. I was born to read. I keep seeing the like posts because I follow book stuff comes up in my Explore all the time. It's like born to read, forced to work. I look forward to hopefully being able to read enough books that I can make another one of these at the end of the month and talk about all the books that I read in April. I need to eat dinner before I have this meeting and maybe cry a little bit so that I can get rid of some of my nervous energy. I don't know. I don't know why I get so nervous. She's a nice lady. It just, I get so stressed out. My advisor is a nice lady. It's just the thought, I think, of talking to somebody like older than me, and then like somebody who is like my teacher kind of, just like stresses me out. I'm like, oh my goodness. It makes me feel like a little kid who's like being sent to the principal's office, and these are routine like meetings. They're supposed to happen like once a week. There's nothing like out of the ordinary about it. It just stresses me out and I can't explain it. I'm gonna go prep for my meeting and hopefully that goes well. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck.